Hey, Andrew, Dennis Feidner. Thanks for the call this morning. So, hey, here's Sage 100. Close this over a little bit. So, there's a menu over here. 99 times out of 100, our new clients are not using that. They're using this desktop. I still use the left hand side only because I've been doing it this way for so long. I'm so used to it. But just looking down that menu, full general ledger and financial statements, accounts receivable, which includes progress billings, time and material billings if you get into T&M work, and then what I call just plain uh, simple AR invoices, all kinds of aging reports, full accounts payable, payroll, including union reporting, certified payroll if you're doing prevailing wage projects. Um, Project management includes 139 job cost reports, change order management, purchase orders, subcontracts, three ways to do cost to complete analysis. I'm going to show you one in a couple of minutes. And then a document control module, which is an add-on, but I think you're probably going to need, is RFPs, RFIs, transmittals, submittals, punch list, and daily field reports. So items in there. Estimating we're going to take a look at, scheduling we're going to take a look at, and then service receivables and inventory we're going to take a look at real quickly. So anyway, I'm going to try to make this short. So this is the desktop. It can be designed for each individual so you have what you want. Here's a report I think you guys will find. Actually, here's a plumbing company. I did this report a couple months ago for a really large plumber and does residential. And if you want to talk to him, he'd be glad to talk to you, as a matter of fact. Just pull this up real quick. But he looks at his man hours a little bit differently than I did, and I like the way he did it. So I keep showing this report, and I'll throw this thing in if you want it. But he in these disregard what these titles are. These will be yours. So your rough end, your fixtures, your underground, whatever, and then sort it into different divisions so you get a grouping. Anyway, most reports are going to say, hey, let's go to this fourth line down here, temp utilities. I have an hour budgeted, no hours ordered, approved through change order, so I still have 1 hour in my budget. I spent 2 hours. Every report ends right here. Oh, I missed it by an hour. He had a great concept, and he said, I didn't miss it by an hour. I missed it by 100%. I had 100% variance on that one line item. I'm not going to tell you how many houses he does, but he does in the neighborhood of thousands. And so if you're missing that hour on every job, it starts up to be real money for him. And so he identifies it this way. So I can give this and share this with your project people. There's no dollars on here. It just says, hey, Joe, you're supposed to do this in an hour and it took you 2 hours. How'd that happen? You're supposed to do this in 4 hours and it took you 6 hours. How'd that happen? etc. So you identify all of the overruns and identify those for future estimates. So that's a great report that we have. There's other ways to look at it as far as unit cost, dollars. Anyway, standard reports here, just a ton of them. But I'll send you some samples of those. But I wanted to jump into the service module real quick. So I just click this. I could click it from my desktop if I wanted to. So it just issued the next work order number, happens to be 129. It put today's date on there. I have a multitude of ways to pick up the client, either by phone number, address, or whatever. I'm just going to put the client number in. Happens to be Jessica. You'll see that it popped up a warning for me that they've got a past due balance. So I may not want to go out there. And I'm just going to say, and I don't type very well, so heating not working in shop or something like that, okay? I can start this out as a quote, or I can start it as a work order. Since it's one of my normal clients, it's going straight to work order. And then I have different ways to look at it, and these can be reported differently in your financials. And I'm just going to call this a repair call. I'm going to show you two ways to do this because this is kind of backwards, but it's the way I like to do it. I'm going to send my buddy Carlos out there. Where'd Carlos go? There he is. So Carlos is going out there. Normal priority, 1's the highest, 5's the lowest. They want him tomorrow and first thing in the morning, so I hit my plus sign, change that to tomorrow. They want him there at 7. I think it's going to take him 3 hours, so it's 10. And it takes him 30 minutes to get there. And so pretty much what you're doing today, probably on an Outlook or on a whiteboard. So let me just say this real quick. Why did I do that? Well, one is I get this right here. There's my schedule for tomorrow. Has Carlos leaving the shop at 6:30 or his house at 6:30, showing up on site. It's kind of small print, but there's the customer's name, the time he's supposed to be there, their phone number, their address, and what have you. If I want, and I just want to just email this to his cell phone, I can just email that directly from here. And this probably never happens to you, but Carlos calls in sick, right? Or his truck doesn't start. I can literally just drag that over. Whoops, if I drag it right, I can just drag that over and give that to somebody else. So I drag and drop to kind of put schedules together, which to me is a big deal. The other way to do this is I can literally say, hey, they want Carlos at 7 tomorrow. I can highlight this and create a new work order after I pick the time and date. So I can either work from the dispatch board back to a new work order or go from the new work order to the dispatch board. There's no right way, no wrong way, but I've seen it done both, so it's up to you. So I'm not going to go much farther in this, but there it is. It's been dispatched to Frank. He knows where to go. When he comes back or when he calls in and it says, he'll tell me what parts he used. He'll tell me how long he was there. I then can create that invoice, and then I can email that invoice to the client. And so we like to say that a lot of times you'll have the invoice to your client before Frank or Carlos shows up at the next job. So pretty simple to do. So that's service in a nutshell. If I go into estimating, and I already have one open up. So this is a plumbing job. Don't laugh at the way I do these things. I just kind of made some of this stuff up. So this one has multiple bid items on it. So I have underground. I've got some more underground, some top out, and some plumbing fixtures, which I'm in right now. So this is a one-piece toilet. I did my takeoff. I need 7 of those. And so I put 7 in here. It knows that for every one up here, I need 1 toilet. I need 1 wax ring. I need 1 angle valve. I need 1 tube riser, and I need 2 hours of a plumber to install that. And you, in your case, probably need 2 hours of a plumber and a half hour of a journeyman or something like that. At that point, it looks at my database for the prices, the current prices, puts those in there, extends out the 7 times 1 times this, gives me this, then etc. Just math, very similar to Excel. But this is our own basic estimating. The nice part here is, if you look over here, I can identify the vendor that I want to buy these materials from, and I can actually create the purchase order to email or to mail to them for everything on this job once the job's awarded. And the same thing going down. It's like, here's a kitchen setup, sink setup, here's what I need. But you can build these assemblies over and over again, okay? Here's a disposal. That's what I want. You know what? If I want to change this out on the fly, because in this case I need something a little bit bigger, you know, they want a 3/4 horse or something, I can actually go to the parts list and then pull up a different part and just substitute that part. So once these are built, you can change out on the fly. So this, I'll just do this one right here. This is the assembly, okay? And these are the parts. These are the parts that make up that assembly. Okay, so that's how that works. If I went to a brand new one here and just cancel this, and I go in here and say import a grid file. It's gonna make me put a job in here, so hang on a second. So I go in here and I say import a grid file, and I don't know what I have in here. Let me find something real quick. Here's a model. I have no idea what this is. It's been a long time. 1245A. So I click that. I say open, and that's brought in what that grid file was originally saved as. So we were talking this morning where you could actually save a model and have the whole thing populated for you. So anyway, I'm going to close this. I don't want to save it because I'll screw up something else I had in there. So that's assemblies. Parts, yours will be different than this, but I'll show you what you can do. They're set up very similar to like a Windows folder. So if I go into, I hope I remember it. I think it's finishes. Nope, it must be concrete. No, hang on. So that makes a difference. So you have a folder, and then underneath that folder, I have other things. And so I wish I could remember which one it is now. So give me a second. I'm going to find it. I can't find it. I'm sorry. So under here, I could have another subfolder and another subfolder. So I'm going to give a stupid example. Elbows, or fittings, right? Fittings would be the 8,000. this could be elbows, and then underneath that I could have a folder for PVC, copper, galvanized pipe, black pipe, black pipe, or I could have fittings, 3/4 inch, 1 inch, ½ inch, 2 inch, 3 inch, or whatever, and then a subfolder for types under there. So it really makes sense that you spend a lot of time up front building what that will look like, so it's really easy for your estimators and purchasing people to find the part they want. And I remember doing a glass company one time, and the owner said, "Oh, we got to do it like this." And then we went out and talked to the people that actually did the work. They thought exactly backwards from the way the owner said to set it up. So thank God we asked the question. But can all be set up so it's real easy to find things. I'm not a consultant, but I do remember one trick. I can actually, if I'm looking for 3/4 inch galvanized fittings, I can actually type in 3/4 galv. I hit the wild card, which is an asterisk, I think, and F4. And then I will pull up everything in my database that's a 3/4 inch galv. And then I can pick the piece I want. So lots of ways that you don't have to memorize part numbers or have a book in front of you. There's a lot of ways to look those things up. I'm trying to keep this short. So the other thing you asked about was security. So right now I'm on menu option 6 here, project management. If I hit my function 7 key, I can say the only person allowed in there is the estimator, the owner, and the field person. So I pick those groups so they can open up the project management menu. All right. If I go to job reports and have my F7 again, the only 2 people that can open up reports are the owner and the estimator. If I go to this report, then the only person that can open that up is this person. So each menu option gets security by a group, not an individual, but a group of people. And so that it's real easy to maintain the security within the system. Hang on one second. Parts, assemblies, templates I looked at, service I looked at. Looked at a couple job cost reports. I'll show you one other report. I think this is important one. And this is the best report. We did a survey, it must be 4 years ago now. I was going to say 3, but I think it's 4. This was voted the best, the most useful report, and the report that was used the most often. Very simply, it's one job. Happens to be job number 27. It's a remodel job. That's the contract I signed with the owner. These are the 4 change orders that the owners approved. So here's my new contract value. I still have 3 change orders issued but not approved yet, so I know that they're out there. I then have these tasks going down here down the side, and whether it's material, labor, equipment, or subcontract cost, what my budget is, what I spent for the month, and what I spent to date. The nice part is, if I want to see how I spent this $9,600, I just double click that. I can see who it was and what date that it happened and how much. If it happened to be a material item, I would see the list of the vendors that I bought that material from. And then it does something real quick here. It looks at the budget column, and since I haven't spent anything, it projects out my budget column. In this case, I had a $2,900 budget. I did not estimate this job, by the way, just to be upfront. Estimated 29. I've actually spent 97, so it projects out to 97. Now, there's another report that allows you to forecast. This is just a snapshot in time as of right now. It literally goes through and then it tells me, hey, you're about to lose $16,000 on this job. And that's when you roll up here and you look for an item that spent 20 times its budget. And I go, how did I spend that? You know, Home Depot still not ringing a bell for me. What was it that I bought from Home Depot? And there's the actual AP invoice of everything that was purchased for that job and charged to that job. And you can go, hey, that was on a change order and somebody charged it to the wrong item, or that's on the wrong job, or it's on the wrong Costco. But it gives you an idea how easy it is for a project manager to drill right back to the detail of what happened on that job. So a great report. Obviously, that's why I have it on my desktop. So 2 things. So if I go in here to a job, and this is a big improvement over QuickBooks. I just happen to be on a job. Doesn't make a difference what it is. If you look down at the very bottom, there's like 8 or 9 tabs. At any time, if I'm the owner, controller, I don't care who you are, and you have access, I can see the budget for this job. I can see every purchase order written for this job and drill back to the purchase order. I can see every change order, every invoice, and every payment that's been made, and a summary of the contract. We talked about in the call a place where the date that I got the plans, the date, the bid opening, and the date that I finished them. And that's where you could pull that report that you were talking about, like, hey, which ones don't I have done that I should have done? The other thing, I'm going to have to go in here real quick. Hang on a second. is here's my customer Jessica again. Again, I showed you a job and everything you can see for the job. Now I'm on the client, the actual customer, and down the bottom I have more tabs. I can see every job I've done for them. I can see all the equipment that I've installed for them. These are all of the pieces of equipment, serial numbers, manufacturer, etc. that we talked about on the phone. But everything here for this client by their individual location, I have a record of. I can see everything I've invoiced them. I can see every work order I've ever done for them. If I just click this is every work order I've done. She's calling in, and I hate to say whining, but she's complaining about what she got charged on one. I can open that up and see exactly what we did on that work order to see if the amount was justified or not. So, and these are the contacts at that company, and so I have those in front of me. Other different addresses, billings, and this I've seen people use it as a like almost as a CRM system. We can track prospects as well as customers in here, and so the consultant can review more of that with you. So anyway, I apologize. I said I'd get done in 12 minutes. I took 16, but that's why I'm not an estimator. Anyway, Andrew, I appreciate your time. I appreciate the call this morning. Obviously, this is not a full demo, but it should give you a really good idea and flavor for what this is capable of for your company. And please feel free to share it with anybody in your company or your CPA or whoever you'd like to. So anyway, let me know if you want a demo. The only problem I have at this point is I'm here tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, and Monday. And then I'm off to Las Vegas for the World of Concrete show. I'll be working at the Sage booth for the rest of next week. So if you can do something earlier, that's great. If not, be sure to set me up on a demo when I get back on the 12th, I guess that is. Anyway, hey, have a great week. Thanks. Hey, Jeff and Wendy, Dennis Feidner, CFO on the go. Hey, listen, I took my best shot at putting together a fencing estimate. And since I'm not a fencing guy, I don't know how accurate it is, but I think you'll get the concept of how easy this is to do. And I actually timed myself. I built a estimate for chain link fence and then another one for gates, kind of on the fly here. It took me like less than 20 minutes to do all this. And so it'd be easier for you because you know exactly what you do. But so this is what we talked about the other day. I just typed in the components of the fence. In the real world, this would be an assembly, so that would be used over and over again. All you would do is I've got all the formulas set up over here, and when we get on the phone, I can show you exactly how these work, but it's not rocket science. So I did my takeoff. I got 2,000 foot of fence. Obviously, you have to count how many terminal posts you have. And then the line post is just a formula that I set up, and it said the quantity is number of feet, 2,000, divided by 10, so they're spaced 10 feet apart. And I came up with 200. I'm not sure 10's accurate enough, but I just like round numbers to check my math. And then I said I need 6 foot high, 1.5 inch gauge fabric, 2,000 feet. The cost of that's $4 a foot. And again, the quantity was fed in here from the quantity I took off up here. So all of these, nothing's keyed in here as far as these quantities are all formulas at this point. Terminal post, it was just a copy of this up here. Line post, again, is the 200, it's just 2,000 divided by 10. And then a concrete, I have no idea what the formula is, but I think this might be okay to do. It just says, hey, take how many line posts I have, how many terminal posts I have, and I need 0.015 cubic yards per hole, and do that. I did not know what the formula was for brace bands or tension bands, and hopefully you can help me with that. A couple other formulas here. I couldn't figure out how to come up with the number of carriage bolts. You can help me with that. But once you have those formulas in here, I don't care if this fence is 2 feet, 20 feet, 200 feet, 2,000 feet, or 20,000 feet. I'm going to come up with the right components for my packing list, so the guys pick the right materials. For my labor, I just said that I need 1 hour, 1/10 of an hour for every foot. So on a 2,000 foot, I determined I needed 200 man hours. Anyway, I put my overhead and profit on there. Comes up with the extended price. If you look at the very, very bottom down here, it says current grid. The cost to build that fence, based on my estimate above, $22,000 in round numbers. There's my overhead and my profit. This is what I'm going to put. That's what's going to wind up on the proposal, is a bid price of $30,175 for the fence. If I flip to the next thing and I have a gate, and I can have all these predetermined types of gates, just how many gates do I have? I have one gate, so I need one prefab 72 inch by 24 foot gate, one drop rod, one pipe gate center, 4 post hinges, 4 gate hinges, and 8 carriage bolts. Again, all of these are being calculated based on the formulas that I have here, based on the quantity I entered up here. So the data entry is really simple. If I wanted to put labor on here, I could just say, hey, you know, labor is, let's just put hours in here. There's labor hours, and we pay $32.50 with burden. And I need, for every gate, I need 8 hours. I have no idea if that's right or not, but that's it. And then every time I put this in here, it's going to send out that 8 hours. And then I have to recalculate the profit, redo the profit and overhead. Just do that real quick. Show you how easy it is. I come down here and say update this grid file. Whoops, sorry, wrong button. Update the takeoff for the overhead and profit. Update. Yes. Oh, I know. I'm sorry. Forgot to put the cost code in here. This is my not paying attention. And recalculate this. And come up here. And it's not this. It's hard. I just missed a step there. Overhead and profit. Update. Yes. And now it's dropping those overhead and profits. But as long as these are all set up, you're not going to have to do that. Those will come in just default. And for this item, I have no idea how this pricing is. I determined my cost was going to be $1,381, and I'm going to sell that for $1,905.78. And that's what's going to go to my proposal. If I know I'm going to buy these materials from, let's see, we'll just buy these from Washaw Nursery. I now can create the purchase order to buy these components automatically. And again, I now have in my system an 8-hour budget for this item, and I think it was 200 over here. Yeah, 200 labor hours. So I have 208 labor hours to complete this project, and that's what those reports are going to balance against. So I made this quick and dirty, very simple. I could have part numbers in here to make it easier. I just wanted to build something quickly just so you could see how easy it is to do. We would import your parts so you have all those parts in there automatically and help you build these formulas, and then every future estimate becomes easier. Obviously, you're going to have 6-foot fences, 4-foot fences, 3-foot fences, so you have an assembly for each one of those and different parts for each one of those. But once you get them built, every estimate from here on out becomes significantly easier to do. Again, we just drop in some assumptions here and some knowns, and everything else calculates out for me. So anyway, I want to show you that. I'm not an expert on fences, but you know, I don't know what the heck we would do without Google. I found an estimate, somebody's estimate on the internet out there, and I just basically copied his parts in there and what have you, and made up some prices to just come up with this. So anyway, that's all there is to it. Hopefully that helps you. If you have any questions or you're ready to place that order, give me a call and we'll get you taken care of. Thanks.